The enemy fleet glided through the dark expanse of space. Massive warships lined in perfect formation, their engines glowing like molten fire. Across the bridges of their command ships, alien officers celebrated. Believing that humanity had finally been crushed, flags waved, lights flashed, and jubilant messages echoed through the Armada. Each commander confident that the galaxy would soon belong to them. At the center of their formation, the enemy flagship Dread Sovereign shone brilliantly, its massive hull reflecting pride and arrogance inside. Commander Zorath surveyed the reports with a satisfied grin. "The humans are finished," he said, voice booming. "Their colonies in ruins, their fleets scattered, they have no hope left," his officers nodded, their confidence filling the halls, imagining how easily the Terran worlds would fall, unaware that the greatest threat had not yet revealed itself. Meanwhile, on the edges of the battlefield, small Terran scout ships slipped quietly between asteroid fields, sending encrypted messages back to hidden command centers. Admiral Kane observed through the long-range sensors aboard a distant repair station, his eyes steady, his expression calm, despite the devastation. He did not panic, he did not despair, for he knew humanity's strength was never measured by the size of its fleets alone. "The enemy celebrates too soon," Kane murmured. "They do not understand what it means to face humans determined to survive." Around him, crews worked tirelessly, repairing damaged ships, patching shields, and recalibrating weapon systems, each person focused, each task vital. Even the youngest cadets moved with purpose, carrying supplies, monitoring communications, their courage steady despite the odds, far away. Scattered human colonies sent signals of resistance, survivors banding together, sharing resources, and waiting for the right moment to strike. The enemy fleet moved closer, their massive shadows falling across planets and moons, their weapon systems primed to deliver final devastation. Yet, humanity waited quietly, unseen and underestimated. Like a predator hidden in the darkness, Kane activated long-range sensors, observing enemy patterns, noting weaknesses in formation, timing, and targeting systems. He turned to his second-in-command. "Lieutenant Maris, prepare the fleet, Maris. We are not defeated." "We are preparing a lesson the galaxy will not forget," Maris nodded, her eyes reflecting determination. "Understood, Admiral." "The humans will not yield." Back on the enemy flagship, Commander Zorath ordered celebrations to continue, unaware that every cheer, every confident gesture, was being observed and cataloged by the humans. Every misstep, every predictable maneuver, every weak flank was noted, and humanity prepared to turn the tables. The silence of space outside the enemy armada was deceptive, hiding the quiet hum of human engines as hidden ships moved into position. Shadowed behind asteroids and nebulae, the Terran fleet assembled, hundreds of vessels ready to emerge when the moment was right. Kane walked along the command deck of the repair station, watching young engineers and pilots readying themselves. He smiled faintly. "Let them think they have won. Let them drown in their arrogance," he said softly. "Humanity thrives in moments like these. Moments when hope seems lost but courage burns brightest." As the enemy fleet approached the first human positions, missiles streaking toward unarmed colonies, the Terran fleet remained hidden. Ready to strike with precision and overwhelming force, the enemy believed victory was assured. But the galaxy had yet to witness the human war fleet in all its glory. And in that quiet tension, with stars shimmering coldly in the distance, a storm waited, unseen, unstoppable. And fearless, the humans watched, patient and calm. Ready to shatter the illusion of the enemy's false victory, the enemy fleet floated proudly through space, confident that humanity had been crushed. Their massive ships moved like predators over prey. Engines glowing bright, weapon systems humming with deadly power. But in the darkness beyond the battlefield, unseen by the enemy sensors, human warships waited, silent and patient, hidden behind asteroids, nebulae, and debris fields. The Terran fleet readied itself. Every engine primed, every weapon calibrated, every crew member aware that the moment had come. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolute, eyes scanning the void, his calm presence radiating confidence. "Today, they learn a lesson they will never forget," he said quietly. Voice firm, steady, full of quiet authority, Lieutenant Maris checked the tactical display, her fingers flying over controls. "All ships are in position, Admiral, shields at maximum." "Weapons ready," Kane nodded. "Then we show them what it means to face humans. Let them feel the courage they underestimated." Suddenly, a flicker of light appeared in the distance, growing larger by the second. The enemy sensors failed to detect it in time, but the humans saw every movement, every formation of their adversaries, and prepared to strike. The first ships of the human war fleet burst from hyperspace, massive and gleaming, engines blazing, shields shimmering like a wall of blue fire. Enemy commanders froze, staring in shock, their arrogance replaced by disbelief, then fear. "Impossible." One of them shouted, "They should have been destroyed. How can they return?" Kane's voice came over the comms, calm and commanding. "Humans never surrender. We endure, we fight, and today we remind the galaxy why." The Terran fleet moved forward as a single, organized force, every ship in perfect formation. Laser turrets swiveling, railguns charging, missiles primed. The enemy scrambled, firing rapidly, but their shots scattered, hitting nothing as human shields absorbed the impact. Captain Voss piloted her cruiser expertly, weaving through incoming fire, returning precise strikes that tore through alien armor. Smaller human frigates darted around enemy vessels, distracting, confusing, and striking at exposed weak points. The enemy fleet faltered, their formation breaking. Chaos spreading as panic began to rise among the alien officers. Kane observed calmly, noting every reaction, every adjustment, ready to exploit the smallest mistake. "Now," he ordered, and the full fleet converged on the enemy vanguard. Weapons blazing, a wave of fire and metal surging through the void. Explosions lit up space, scattering debris and lighting up the shadows of alien warships. The enemy flagship Dread Sovereign shuddered under repeated strikes. Alarms blaring across its decks, officers shouting orders, confusion replacing their prior confidence. Even as the aliens attempted desperate counterattacks, human pilots anticipated every move, dodging, weaving, striking back with unmatched precision. Lieutenant Maris whispered in awe, "Admiral, they can't handle our fleet." Kane's eyes narrowed, calm but sharp. "They underestimated humanity, Maris. And that is their greatest mistake." Across the battlefield, human ships continued to emerge from hiding, the full strength of the war fleet now revealed, overwhelming in size, firepower, and discipline. The enemy, who thought they had won, now faced the horrifying truth. Humanity had returned stronger, smarter, and fearless. And as the stars shimmered coldly in the distance, the battle had begun in earnest, a clash that would echo across the galaxy and remind all that humans do not yield, do not fear, and do not surrender. The void erupted in light and fire as the first volleys of battle struck across the darkness. Lasers carved glowing paths through space. Missiles streaked like comets, and railguns fired with thunderous power. The enemy fleet roared with confidence, expecting humanity to falter, but the Terran war fleet held steady, organized and relentless, Admiral Kane stood on the bridge of the Resolute, eyes scanning every enemy movement, every formation shift, every flicker of weakness. "Focus fire on their front line," he commanded. "Calm and precise, do not scatter, do not hesitate. Move as one." Crew members across the fleet responded instantly, adjusting shields, targeting systems, and weapons. Their training flawless under pressure, the first human railgun fired, a massive beam striking the enemy destroyer, tearing through armor, sending fragments spinning into the void. Explosions lit up the battlefield like stars colliding, but the humans pressed forward, unwavering, coordinated, and fearless. Lieutenant Maris tracked enemy movements. "Admiral, the lead cruiser is exposed. Its shields down by 50%. Kane's lips curled into a faint smile. "Then we take it now. All units converge." Precision and timing are everything. The Terran fleet moved like a single organism. Smaller frigates distracting enemy vessels, while larger cruisers focused fire on critical points. The enemy tried to respond with massive volleys of plasma and missiles, but the humans anticipated every move, dodging, weaving, and countering with perfect timing. Captain Voss piloted her ship through a barrage of enemy fire, narrowly avoiding a missile strike, then unleashed a precise volley that crippled an alien battleship. Across the battlefield, other human ships executed flanking maneuvers, cutting off escape routes, striking exposed engines, weapons, and shields. The enemy's confidence began to crack, their formation faltering as panic crept into their ranks. Kane's voice cut through the comms, calm and commanding. "Hold the line, press the advantage, and show them that humans do not fear." Even as a smaller Terran frigate took heavy damage, its crew fought tirelessly, repairing shields mid-battle, returning fire without hesitation. The enemy flagship Dread Sovereign tried to rally its forces, moving to reinforce the front line, but human coordination was unmatched. Every strike was calculated, every maneuver planned, every shot a message. Humanity is not defeated. Humanity is unbroken. The void around them burned with explosions. But the Terran fleet remained a pillar of precision and courage. Lieutenant Maris whispered, awed, "Admiral, their flagship. It's faltering. We can finish it." Kane's eyes narrowed, focused, and unwavering. "Yes, Maris, but we do it together, with strategy, with discipline, and with courage." The fleet converged on the lead ship, railguns firing, missiles launched, and lasers cutting through shields and hull. The enemy vessel shuddered under the coordinated assault, sparks and debris drifting across the void, alarms blaring on alien bridges, officers shouting in confusion. The humans pressed forward, relentless, their courage unshaken, their unity unbroken. The enemy fleet, once confident in victory, now faced the shocking truth. Humanity fights with intelligence, bravery, and an unyielding spirit. And as explosions illuminated the void, the tide of battle began to shift. The clash of titans tipping in favor of the humans, the battlefield stretched endlessly, filled with drifting debris, burning wrecks, and the flickering light of energy blasts. The Terran war fleet moved with calm precision, every ship aligned, every crew member focused, and every weapon ready. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge of the Resolute, eyes scanning the chaos, analyzing enemy patterns, seeking weaknesses. "They think they can recover," he murmured, voice calm. "But they do not know who they face." Lieutenant Maris studied the tactical display. "Admiral, their flagship is isolated, shields at 20%. Weapon systems faltering." Kane's lips curved in a faint smile. "Then we end this. All units focus on the command ship. Timing and coordination are key." The Terran fleet converged in perfect formation, Cruisers leading, frigates flanking, smaller vessels providing cover. Engines flared, shields shimmered, and weapons charged across the fleet, ready to deliver a precise, overwhelming strike. The enemy scrambled, firing volleys of plasma and missiles, but the humans anticipated every move, dodging, countering, and closing the net. Captain Voss piloted her cruiser through a narrow corridor of fire, targeting weapon arrays and critical systems, explosions rippling across enemy hulls. The flagship Dread Sovereign shuddered under concentrated railgun and missile strikes, sparks and debris spinning across the void. Alarms blaring across alien decks, enemy commanders shouted orders. Desperation flickering in their eyes, their confidence shattered. Kane's voice cut through the comms, calm and commanding. Hold the line. Press the advantage and strike with precision. Humanity does not yield. Missiles streaked across space. Railguns fired in unison and lasers cut through shields and armor. A wave of controlled destruction crashing against the enemy heart. The flagship attempted a desperate escape, engines blazing, weapons firing. But human coordination anticipated every maneuver. Lieutenant Maris whispered, awe in her voice, "Admiral, they can't escape." "We have them." Kane's eyes narrowed. "Focused and steady, then we finish this together." With courage and precision, the fleet converged fully on the enemy flagship. Railguns firing, missiles striking, lasers slicing shields and hull. Explosions engulfing the massive vessel, the flagship shuddered violently. Systems failing, alarms screaming, and slowly, impossibly, the enemy command ship began to break apart. The remaining enemy vessels faltered. Their formation breaking, panic spreading across the fleet. Their morale collapsing under the coordinated might of humanity. Even as smaller ships fired desperate volleys, human ships blocked, dodged, and countered. Their strategy flawless and relentless. Kane watched the battlefield, calm but satisfied. Humanity never surrenders, and today, the galaxy sees why. The void around them seemed to pulse with the unbroken Terran fleet, a silent warning to any who would challenge them. The enemy armada, once confident, now retreated, broken, humbled, their arrogance shattered by humans who fought with unity, courage, and intelligence, and as the stars shimmered coldly in the distance, the tide of battle had fully turned, the Terran warfleet standing victorious. Ready to strike the final blow if needed, humanity had proven that no enemy, no matter how strong, could intimidate, overwhelm, or break them. The void was calm now, filled with drifting debris, flickering energy, and the remnants of what had been a fierce battle. The Terran warfleet regrouped, engines humming softly, shields flickering as repairs were made. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge of the Resolute, calm and proud, his eyes scanning the expanse of space. "Report," he said, voice steady and commanding. Lieutenant Maris checked the tactical display. All ships accounted for, Admiral. Enemy forces retreating. Command structure destroyed. Minimal Terran losses. Kane nodded, a faint smile on his lips. Good. Humanity has once again shown that strength is measured not only in numbers, but in courage, unity, and resolve. Across the fleet, crews celebrated quietly, exchanging relieved smiles, hugs and cheers, but discipline remained. For every human knew vigilance was as important as victory. Captain Voss approached Kane, her eyes shining with pride. "Admiral, we won. But the enemy will remember this defeat, won't they?" Kane's gaze remained on the stars. "Yes, Voss, they will remember. And the galaxy will remember as well. Humans do not bow. Humans do not fear. Humans do not falter." The remaining enemy ships fled, their arrogance shattered, their confidence replaced by caution, humbled by the unyielding spirit of humanity. Across the battlefield, Silence reigned, broken only by the quiet hum of engines and the occasional report of minor damage. Kane walked among his crew, observing pilots, engineers, and officers, every face reflecting courage, determination, and pride. Lieutenant Morris whispered, awe in her voice, "Admiral, they will never underestimate humans again." Kane nodded, calm and confident. "No, Maris. And the galaxy has learned a lesson. Fear does not bend us, intimidation does not sway us, and no force can break our spirit." The stars beyond the fleet shimmered, cold and brilliant, as if acknowledging the triumph of humanity. The Terran war fleet moved steadily forward, leaving the battlefield behind but carrying the legacy of courage, strategy, and unyielding resolve. Reports of the battle would spread across human colonies, neutral systems, and alien worlds, telling of a species that faced impossible odds and refused to yield. The galaxy would remember humanity as a force unmatched, fearless, and legendary, a symbol of hope and courage for all who stood against tyranny. Kane stood silently, reflecting on the victory, knowing that this battle was more than destruction. It was a statement, a promise, and a legacy. "Humans do not fear," he murmured softly. "Eyes on the stars, and no empire, no matter how mighty, can break us." Across the fleet, crews maintained vigilance, engines and shields humming, ready for any new challenge, knowing that humanity had proven itself unshakable, unbroken, and unmatched. And somewhere across the galaxy, civilizations took note, recording the lesson: never challenge humanity and expect fear, surrender, or weakness, for in the darkest void, in the fiercest battles, and against overwhelming odds, humanity had stood steadfast and victorious. The Terran warfleet continued its journey, stronger, wiser, and proud, carrying the story of courage, unity, and triumph into the stars. And as the stars shone coldly in the distance, the galaxy learned a truth that would echo for generations: humanity is unstoppable, fearless, and eternal.